You ever have one of those moments where a single phone call flips your entire world upside down? Like, you're just living your life, minding your own business, when ring, everything you thought you knew gets tossed out the window. That was me, Alex Harper, on a rainy Tuesday night in my cramped Chicago apartment, staring at a phone number I hadn't seen in years. My dad's name lit up the screen. William Harper. My heart stopped. Not because I was excited to hear from him. No, it was the kind of stop where your stomach twists and, asterisk, no asterisk, that whatever's coming next is gonna hurt. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. I hadn't talked to Dad in 4 years. Not since the day he sat me down, looked me in the eye, and told me he was giving Harper Construction, the family empire, the legacy I'd poured my soul into, to my little sister, Lauren. I was 32 then, the guy who'd been running job sites since I was 18, the one who knew every blueprint, every contractor, every trick to keep a project on budget. Lauren? She was 26, fresh out of business school. All theory and no grit. But Dad chose her. Said she had vision. Said I was too emotional. I walked out that day and never looked back. So why was he calling now? I almost didn't answer. Almost. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe stupidity, made me pick up. Alex. Dad's voice rasped through the line. Rougher than I remembered. He sounded old. Tired. We're in trouble. Lauren, she lost the McAllister contract. $8 million gone. I need you. I laughed. Not a happy laugh, the kind that's half pain, half disbelief. You need me? After you handed the keys to Lauren and told me I wasn't good enough? You're joking, right? I'm not, he said, and the weight in his voice shut me up. The company's bleeding. If we don't fix this, Harper Construction is done. You're the only one who can turn it around. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to tell him to shove it, to let Lauren clean up her own mess. But I didn't. Because deep down, under all the hurt and anger, Harper Construction was still mine. It was the late nights I spent learning the trade while Dad barked orders. It was the summers the first gave up to pour concrete and hammer nails. It was Mom's name on the company logo, her memory woven into every brick we laid. I couldn't let it die. Fine, I said, my voice tight. But this doesn't mean I forgive you. I know, Dad whispered. Just come home, Alex. Let me back up. If I'm going to tell you this story, and trust me, it's a wild one, you need to know how we got here. Picture Chicago, 2025. The city's a beast of glass and steel, skyscrapers clawing at the sky, but down at street level, it's all grit and hustle. Harper Construction built half those towers. We're not some corporate giant. We're family-owned, blue-collar proud, the kind of company where the boss still knows how to swing a hammer. My great-grandfather started it in 1920, a one-man operation laying foundations for warehouses. By the time Dad took over, we were landing multi-million-dollar contracts, hospitals, condos, you name it. I grew up on those sites, idolizing Dad, dreaming of the day I'd run the show. Lauren, though? She was different. My little sister was the golden child, always acing school, always charming clients with her big ideas and bigger smiles. Don't get me wrong, I love her. But love doesn't mean I wasn't pissed when Dad picked her over me. I'd been his right hand for years, troubleshooting disasters, sweet-talking suppliers, keeping the crew in line. Lauren was off getting her MBA, sipping lattes in lecture halls, while I was knee-deep in mud. Yet somehow, she was the future of Harper Construction. The day Dad told me, I felt like I'd been punched. We were in his office, surrounded by blueprints and photos of Mom, who died when I was 12. Cancer. It hit us all hard. But Dad and I, we channeled it into the business. Every project was for her. So when he said, Lauren's taking over Alex, she's got the head for it, it wasn't just a rejection. It was like he was saying I wasn't enough to carry Mom's legacy. I left Chicago after that, moved to a smaller firm in Milwaukee, took a job managing mid-sized projects. It was fine, stable, but it wasn't home. I missed the chaos of Harper Construction, the way a job site hums when everything's clicking. I missed Dad, even if I hated admitting it. And yeah, I missed Lauren, though I'd never tell her that. Back to that phone call. It was late, the kind of night where the rain makes everything feel heavier. I stood in my apartment, phone still in my hand, Dad's words looping in my head. $8 million gone. The McAllister contract was huge, a luxury high-rise, the kind of deal that could have put Harper Construction on the map for decades. Losing it wasn't just a hit, it was a death blow. I didn't know the details yet, but I could guess. Lauren probably overpromised, maybe got cocky with the client. She always had a knack for dreaming too big.
I packed a bag that night.
Nothing fancy, just jeans, a few shirts, and a worn-out photo of Mom, Dad, Lauren, and me from before everything went sideways. Milwaukee to Chicago is only a couple of hours by train, but it felt like crossing a continent. I kept thinking about Dad's voice, the way it cracked when he said, "I need you." He'd never said that before. Not when Mom died. Not when I was busting my ass to prove myself. Why now? The train rolled into Union Station at dawn. Chicago hit me like a wave, horns blaring, commuters shoving past, the air thick with coffee and exhaust. I took a cab to the Harper Construction office in the Loop, a sleek building we'd built ourselves 10 years ago. The sign out front, asterisk Harper Construction, EST 1920 asterisk, made my chest tight. This place was my blood, my bones. No matter how much I tried to run, it always pulled me back. Inside the office was chaos. Phones ringing, employees whispering in clusters, the air buzzing with panic. I spotted Lauren at the far end, standing by Dad's office door, her arms crossed, her face pale. She looked older than I remembered, her blonde hair pulled back tight, her suit sharp but wrinkled, like she hadn't slept in days. When she saw me, her eyes widened, then narrowed. "Alex," she said, her voice clipped. "What are you doing here?" Dad called. I said, keeping my tone even. "Said you lost McAllister." Her jaw tightened. "It's not what you think." "I didn't. Save it." I cut her off. "I'm not here to gloat. I'm here to fix this." She stared at me, and for a second, I saw the old Lauren, the kid who used to tag along on job sites, begging me to let her hold the blueprints. But then her walls went up, and she was all business again. "Dad's in his office. He'll fill you in." I walked past her, feeling her eyes on my back. The office door creaked open, and there was Dad, sitting behind his desk, looking like he'd aged a decade since I last saw him. His hair was grayer, his shoulders hunched, but his eyes, those sharp, calculating eyes, were still the same. "Alex," he said, standing up. "Thank God you're here." "Don't," I said, holding up a hand. "Just tell me what happened. How did Lauren screw this up?" Dad sighed, sinking back into his chair. "It's not just Lauren. It's complicated. McAllister pulled out because of something they found in our books. An audit. Discrepancies going back years." My stomach dropped. Discrepancies? What kind? Dad hesitated, and that's when I knew this wasn't just about a lost client. There was something bigger, something he wasn't saying. "We'll get to that," he said. "But right now, we need to win McAllister back. They're giving us one shot, a meeting in 3 days. If we don't convince them, we're finished." I leaned against the wall, my mind racing. An audit? Discrepancies? This wasn't just Lauren's mistake. This was systemic. And Dad's face told me he knew more than he was letting on. "All right," I said finally. "I'm in, but I need the truth, Dad. All of it. What's really going on here?" He looked away, out the window at the Chicago skyline. "You'll get the truth, Alex. But you might not like it." That was the moment I realized I wasn't just walking back into a family business. I was walking into a minefield. Over the next 3 days, I'd dig into the company's books, uncover secrets Dad and Lauren had kept from me, and face a truth that would shake everything I thought I knew about my family. But that's a story for another day. For now, all I had was a failing company, a sister who hated my guts, and a father who'd chosen her over me, until he had no choice but to call me back. Stick around, because this is just the beginning. And trust me, it gets wilder from here. So, there I was, back in the heart of Harper Construction, standing in my dad's office, the Chicago skyline mocking me through the window. If you're just joining me, let's catch you up real quick. I'm Alex Harper, The guy who thought he'd left his family's construction empire behind for good. 4 years ago, my dad, William, handed the keys to my little sister, Lauren, instead of me. I walked away, built a quiet life in Milwaukee, and tried to forget the sting of being passed over. But then Dad called, voice shaking, saying Lauren lost an $8 million deal, the McAllister contract, and the company was on the brink. Oh, and there's this little detail about an audit uncovering discrepancies in our books. Yeah, sketchy, right? Dad begged me to come back, and against my better judgment, I did. Now I'm staring at him, demanding answers, and he's looking at me like I just asked him to confess to a crime. You'll get the truth, Alex, he said, his eyes dodging mine. But you might not like it. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about a lost client or Lauren screwing up. Something was rotting in Harper Construction, and I was about to dig right into it. Buckle up, because this is where things start getting messy. The next morning, I showed up at the office before the sun even bothered to rise. The place was quiet, just the hum of the coffee machine and the faint clatter of a janitor somewhere down the hall. I needed to see the books myself, no middleman, no excuses. If there were discrepancies, I'd find them. I'd spent enough years balancing budgets and sniffing out bad deals to know when something didn't add up. Dad's office was locked, but I still had my old key. Never turned it in when I left. Call it sentimental, or maybe I just knew I'd be back someday. The door clicked open, and I stepped into the familiar smell of leather and old blueprints. His desk was a mess, papers stacked like a losing game of Jenga. I found the financial records in a locked drawer, another key I forgot to return, and hauled them to the conference room. Spreadsheets, invoices, bank statements, all going back a decade. If there was a secret buried here, it wasn't going to stay hidden for long. By noon, my eyes were burning from staring at numbers, and I'd gone through 3 cups of coffee that tasted like regret. But I was starting to see patterns. Payments to vendors I'd never heard of, transfers to offshore accounts labeled consulting fees, expenses for projects that never existed. We're talking millions of dollars, siphoned off over years. The worst part? Most of it started before Lauren took over. Like way before, back when Dad was still calling all the shots and I was his right-hand man. I leaned back in my chair, the weight of it hitting me like a sledgehammer. Was Dad cooking the books? The guy who'd preached integrity, who'd fire a foreman for skimming $100 off a supply order. It didn't make sense. But numbers don't lie. People do. That's when the conference room door swung open and Lauren stormed in, her face a mix of fury and exhaustion. What the hell, Alex? You're going through the books without telling me? I didn't look up. Somebody's got to figure out why we're hemorrhaging money. You clearly didn't. She slammed her hands on the table, making the papers jump. You think I don't know we're in trouble? I've been killing myself to keep this place afloat, and you waltz in like some savior? You don't get to judge me. That got my attention. I pushed the spreadsheets aside and met her glare. Then explain it, Lauren. How do you lose an $8 million contract? How do you not notice millions disappearing under your nose? Her eyes flickered, like she was holding back something big. The McAllister deal, it wasn't my fault. They pulled out after the audit, said they couldn't trust our numbers. I tried to fix it, Alex. I begged them for another meeting, but they wouldn't budge. And these? I tapped the papers. Fake vendors, ghost projects? This isn't just a bad quarter, Lauren. This is fraud. She froze, her face going pale. Fraud? That's impossible. I've been over those books 100 times. Everything checked out. Then you missed something, I said, sharper than I meant to. Or you didn't want to see it. Her jaw clenched, and for a second, I thought she might slap me. Instead, she sank into a chair, her shoulders slumping. You think I wanted this? To run a company that's falling apart? I didn't ask for this job, Alex. Dad forced it on me. That stopped me cold. Forced it? You're telling me you didn't want to be CEO. She laughed, bitter and raw. You think I wanted to step into your shoes? You were the golden boy, the one who knew every bolt and beam.
I was just the backup plan.
Dad said I had to do it, that the company needed fresh blood. But I've been drowning, Alex. Every day, I'm terrified I'm gonna lose it all.
I didn't know what to say.
All this time, I'd pictured Lauren gloating, loving her corner office, her name on the letterhead. But looking at her now, eyes red, hands trembling, I saw someone carrying a weight she wasn't built for. It didn't erase the hurt of being passed over, but it cracked something in me. Maybe she wasn't the enemy I'd made her out to be. Lauren, I said, softer now. These discrepancies go back years. Before you were in charge, you didn't do this. Her head snapped up. What are you saying? I'm saying... I hesitated. The words heavy. It looks like Dad was hiding something. Or someone was. She stared at me, and I could see the gears turning. The same questions I'd been wrestling with. Before she could respond, a knock at the door interrupted us. It was Maria, one of our oldest foremen, a woman who'd been with Harper Construction since I was a kid. Her face was grim. Alex, Lauren, she said, stepping inside. We got a problem. One of the crew found something at the McAllister site. You need to see this. We drove to the site in silence, the tension between Lauren and me thick enough to choke on. The McAllister project was a half-finished high-rise on the edge of downtown, a skeleton of steel and concrete frozen in time since the contract fell through. The crew was gathered near the foundation, their faces uneasy. Maria led us to a section of exposed rebar where a metal box was embedded in the concrete, rusted but intact. What is this? I asked, crouching down. Found it during cleanup, Maria said. Thought it was just junk, but it's got a lock. And there's something carved on it. I brushed away the dirt, my pulse picking up. The carving was faint but clear. W.H. 2015. William Harper. 10 years ago, when Dad was still running everything. Lauren knelt beside me, her voice low. Why would Dad hide a box in a foundation? No idea, I said, but my gut was screaming. Whatever was in that box, it wasn't good. We need to open it. Maria handed me a crowbar, and I pried the lock off, the metal groaning. Inside was a hard drive, wrapped in plastic and a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it, my hands shaking. It was Dad's handwriting. Asterisk, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. Don't trust anyone, asterisk. Lauren gasped, reading over my shoulder. What the hell does that mean? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because right then I realized Dad wasn't just hiding money. He was hiding secrets. Secrets big enough to bury in concrete. Secrets that could destroy everything we'd built. And now I was holding one of them in my hands. Back at the office, I plugged the hard drive into my laptop, Lauren hovering behind me. The files were encrypted, but I recognized the format. Dad's old system, the one he used for sensitive bids. It'd take time to crack, time we didn't have with the McAllister meeting looming in 2 days. But the note kept burning in my mind. Don't trust anyone. Did that include Lauren? Maria? The crew? Or was Dad warning me about himself? I needed answers, and I needed them fast. So I called the one person I knew could help, Jonah, our company accountant. He'd been with us for years, a quiet guy who always seemed to know more than he let on. If anyone could make sense of the books or the hard drive, it was him. Jonah showed up an hour later, looking nervous, his glasses fogged from the rain. Alex, what's this about? He asked, glancing at Lauren. Sit, I said, sliding the spreadsheets toward him. I need you to tell me where this money went, and I need you to be straight with me. He scanned the papers, his face tightening. They don't look right. Some of these accounts, I never saw them. Never saw them? Lauren snapped. You're the accountant. How do you miss millions? Jonah flinched. I don't know. Your dad, he handled some things personally. Said it was above my pay grade. I leaned forward, my voice low. Jonah, if you're holding out on me, now's the time to come clean. What did Dad do? He hesitated, then dropped his voice to a whisper. There were rumors, okay? Back in 2015, after your mom passed. People said William was cutting corners, paying off inspectors, maybe even worse. I didn't believe it, but those accounts? They matched the timeline. Lauren's face went white. You're saying Dad was dirty? I'm saying I don't know. Jonah said, his eyes darting to the door. But if this gets out, it's not just McAllister. Every client we have will walk. I felt sick. The man who'd raised me, who taught me to build things that last, might have been tearing it all down behind our backs. And now we were paying the price. Before I could press Jonah further, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk, stop digging, Alex. You won't like what you find. Asterisk. I stared at the screen, my blood running cold. Someone was watching us. Someone knew what we were doing, and they didn't want us getting any closer to the truth. All right, let me pause here because I know you're probably yelling at your screen, wondering what's on that hard drive and who sent that text. I was right there with you, heart pounding, trying to figure out who I could trust. Over the next couple of days, I'd crack that drive, face off with McAllister, and uncover a secret that'd make me question everything I knew about my family. But that's for next time. All I'll say is this: the deeper you dig, the darker it gets. Stick with me, because this story's about to take a turn you won't see coming. Hey, it's Alex Harper again, and if you're still with me, you know this story's getting wild. If you're just jumping in, buckle up, because I'm about to take you deeper into the mess that is my family's construction empire. Last time, I was knee-deep in Harper Construction's books, staring at proof that millions had been siphoned off. Asterisk before asterisk, my sister Lauren took over. Yeah, the same sister my dad chose to run the show instead of me. Then we found a rusted box buried in the McAllister site, with a hard drive and a note in Dad's handwriting. Asterisk, don't trust anyone. Asterisk, oh, and I got a creepy text telling me to stop digging. Spoiler alert, I didn't stop. And what I found next, it changed everything. I was back in the conference room, the hard drive plugged into my laptop, its encryption taunting me like a puzzle I couldn't solve. Lauren hovered behind me, her arms crossed, her foot tapping like she was ready to bolt. We hadn't spoken much since our blowout yesterday, when she admitted she'd been drowning as CEO. Part of me wanted to hug her, tell her I got it. The other part? Still pissed she got the job I'd earned. But right now, we had bigger problems than our sibling drama. Any luck? Lauren asked, her voice tight. Almost, I said, typing another command. Dad's encryption was old school, the kind he used when I was still his shadow on job sites. I'd cracked it before, back when I thought he trusted me. After a few more tries, the screen flashed and a folder popped up. Project Eclipse. My stomach twisted. That name wasn't in any of our records. I clicked it and a flood of files spilled out. Contracts, emails, bank transfers. Most were dated 2014 to 2015, right after Mom died. The name Victor Kane kept popping up, tied to payments labeled consulting or materials. I knew that name. Kane was a contractor Dad worked with years ago, a sleazy guy with a reputation for cutting corners. Dad cut ties with him after Mom's death, or so I thought. Look at this, I said, pointing to an email from Kane to Dad, dated October 2015. Asterisk, pay up, William, or the truth about Elena comes out. Asterisk, Lauren's breath hitched. Elena, that's Mom. Yeah, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. What the hell was Dad hiding about her? We kept digging. The files showed millions funneled to Kane's shell companies, disguised as project expenses. One document caught my eye, a safety report for a hospital we built in 2014, flagged for faulty wiring. Mom had been on that site, overseeing inspections. She was the one who caught the issues, demanded a rework. A week later, she was gone.
Cancer, they said. Fast.
Brutal. But now, staring at these files, I wasn't so sure. Alex, Lauren said, her voice shaking. This doesn't add up. Mom's death, you don't think? I don't know what to think. I cut her off, my head spinning. But we need to talk to Dad.
Now.
We found him at home, in the old brownstone where Lauren and I grew up. The place felt like a museum. Mom's painting still on the walls, her favorite armchair untouched. Dad was in the kitchen, staring at a glass of whiskey like it held all the answers. He looked up when we walked in, and for a second, I saw fear in his eyes. Alex, Lauren, he said, setting the glass down. What's wrong? I didn't waste time. I slammed the printed email on the table. Victor Kane. Project Eclipse. Millions missing.
And Mom.
Start talking, Dad. His face crumpled, like I'd hit him. You found the drive. Yeah, I said, my voice hard. And I want the truth. What did Kane have on you? What's this about, Mom? Dad sank into a chair, rubbing his temples. It's complicated. After your mother died, I was lost. The company was struggling. Kane offered a way out. Off-the-books deals, cash to keep us afloat. I didn't know he was using substandard materials, cutting corners. Your mom found out. She was going to blow the whistle. Lauren's eyes widened. And then she got sick. Dad nodded, his voice breaking. I thought it was a coincidence. But Kane, he hinted he'd made sure she wouldn't talk. I couldn't prove it, so I paid him to disappear. I thought it was over. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. You're saying Mom was murdered? And you did nothing? I protected you. Dad snapped, his eyes flashing. Both of you. If I went after Kane, he'd have destroyed us. The company, our family, everything your mother built. Lauren was crying now, her hands clenched into fists. You let her killer walk free? For money. It wasn't about money, Dad said, his voice raw. It was about keeping you safe. I wanted to scream, to throw something. All these years, I'd thought Mom's death was just cruel fate. Now, it was tied to the same secret sinking Harper Construction. I turned to leave, but Lauren grabbed my arm. Alex, wait, she said. There's something else. I froze. What? She hesitated, then pulled out her phone, showing me an email she'd received a month ago, before the McAllister deal fell apart. It was from Jonah, our accountant. Asterisk, Lauren, the audit's coming. You need to bury the Eclipse files or we're all done. Asterisk. You knew, I shouted, stepping toward her. You knew about this and didn't tell me? I was trying to fix it, she shot back, tears streaming. I thought I could handle it, keep the company alive without dragging you into it. I didn't know about Mom, I swear. I didn't know who to believe anymore. Dad, hiding a possible murder. Lauren, hiding the truth. And Jonah, who was supposed to be on our side, playing games behind our backs. The McAllister meeting was that afternoon, and we had no choice but to go. It was our last shot to save the company, even if I wasn't sure it deserved saving. The McAllister team met us in a sleek boardroom downtown, their CEO, Diane McAllister, staring us down like we were criminals. Lauren took the lead, pitching our recovery plan, but I could see her hands shaking. I stepped in, laying out how we'd rebuild trust, audit our own books, and deliver the project on time. Diane wasn't impressed. Your numbers don't add up, Miss Harper, she said, sliding a report across the table. Our auditors found ties to Apex Builders. They claim you've been funneling funds to them. I nearly choked. Apex was our biggest rival, a corporate giant that had been trying to crush us for years. That's impossible, I said. We'd never work with Apex. Then explain this, Diane said, pointing to a bank transfer, $2 million to an Apex subsidiary, signed by Jonah. Lauren looked like she'd been slapped. Jonah? I grabbed the report, my mind racing. Jonah had access to our accounts. He'd been nervous, KG. And that text I got. Asterisk, stop digging asterisk. It had to be him. He wasn't just hiding Dad's secrets. He was selling us out. Back at the office, I confronted Jonah. He was packing his desk, like he knew the jig was up. Going somewhere? I asked, blocking the door. Alex, I can explain, he stammered, dropping a box of files. Then start, I said, crossing my arms. Why's our money going to Apex? What's your deal with them? He swallowed hard, sweat beading on his forehead. It wasn't my idea. Kane came to me last year. Said he'd ruin me if I didn't help. Apex wanted Harper Construction gone, and Kane was their middleman. I did what I had to. You betrayed us, Lauren said, her voice cold. You let me take the fall for McAllister. I'm sorry, Jonah whispered, but I was done listening. I grabbed his laptop, knowing we'd find more answers there. That night, I cracked Jonah's files with Lauren's help. What we found was worse than I'd imagined. A memo from Kane to Apex, dated a week before Mom's death. Asterisk, Elena's a problem. Handle it. Asterisk, it wasn't proof of murder, but it was close enough to make my blood run cold. I looked at Lauren, her face lit by the laptop's glow. We're not just saving the company anymore, I said. We're finding out who killed Mom, and we're taking Kane down. She nodded, her eyes fierce. Together? Together, I said, and for the first time in years, I felt like we were a team again. Okay, I know you're probably screaming. What happens next? And trust me, I was right there, staring at that memo, knowing the fight was just beginning. We had 2 days to save Harper Construction, expose Kane, and uncover the full truth about Mom's death. But here's the thing, the deeper we dug, the more dangerous it got. Someone out there didn't want us to succeed, and they were willing to kill to stop us. Stick around, because this story is about to explode.